Biodiversity, Ross gull, Rhodiostathia rosea. In Canada, this species is known to occur in small numbers in very few locations. Threats include disturbance in some breeding areas and changes in ice and snow patterns associated with climate change. The Ross gull was officially listed as threatened under the Species at Risk Act in June of 2003. Section 37 of the Species Risk Act requires the competent minister to prepare recovery strategies for listed, endangered, and threatened species. The Ross gull's scientific classification: Kingdom, Animalia; Xylem, Chordata; Class, Aves; Order, Chardiformes; Family, Laridae; Genus, McGillivray 1842; Species, Rodentia rosea. In Canada, there are 4 known nesting areas: Prince Charles Island in Nunavut, Shine Islands in Nunavut, and an unnamed island in Penny Strait in the Nunavut, also in Churchill, Manitoba. Even though the movements are poorly known, after breeding, they move north to the Arctic Ocean, where it appears they spend most of the year associated with the openings in the ice pack. The Ross gull is a small, tern-like gull, 29 to 32 centimeters in length, with a buoyant flight. It can be distinguished by its wedge-shaped tail, red feet, gray underwing, and narrow black collar around its neck. It has a dove-like head and a black beak. The sexes are alike. During the breeding season, the Ross gull often benefits from the aggressive defense behavior of the Arctic tern. Some courtship displays can be observed with the 2 birds facing each other and standing side by side, and then circling around one another by walking. The Ross gull nests in loose colonies of 2 to 10 pairs, with the nests placed between 45 to 100 meters apart, rarely less than 5 meters. The Ross gull breeds in small colonies on tundras and swampy Arctic estuaries, often nesting with other seabirds such as Arctic terns. It lays 2 to 3 eggs in a nest on the ground, lined with seaweed, grass, or moss, often on an island in a little lake. The eggs are olive green with small reddish-brown spots. Ross gulls reach their sexual maturity in their second years. Their nests are often far from each other, up to 100 meters. The ecology of the Ross gull and its role in the Arctic ecosystems are very poorly known. Based on diet and breeding locations, we assume that it plays a role similar to that of the Sabine gull, ivory gull, and the Arctic tern. All 4 of these species feed primarily on invertebrates and small fish, although Sabine's gull may feed more in freshwater habitats. However, Sabine gulls and the Arctic terns fly far south for the winter, with the ivory and Ross gulls are well adapted to polar ice-covered regions all year. Both ivory and Ross gulls will apparently scavenge carrion. In the absence of detailed studies of Ross gulls, a further examination of their ecological role is not possible at this time. Because Ross gulls are known from only 4 locations in Canada, each population is very small in size. Any factor affecting reproduction, success, or survival could severely affect the persistence of Ross gulls in Canada. Threats to the survival of Ross gulls are discussed below in orders of importance: human disturbance, predation, habitat loss, and destruction. The Ross gull has always been rare in Canada and does not appear to be declining. Because of its limited population numbers, there is a little potential for this species to be downlisted from threatened. Despite its small population size, maintaining Ross gulls at its current distribution and population numbers should be feasible. The recovery goal for the Ross gull is to ensure its long-term survival by maintaining the population at its current level and by maintaining current and some historical breeding locations and nesting rituals they have with the Arctic tern and Sabine gull. The Manitoba site is located on Crown land. The federal and provincial government will work cooperatively with COSWIC, the Committee on the Status of Endangered Wildlife in Canada, and SARA, Species at Risk Act, to determine the appropriate approach for habitat protection of this site. Education and communication with the community and bird watchers may be a useful tool in ensuring the conservation of this area. The implementation of approaches identified within this recovery strategy to maintain the distribution and abundance of Ross gulls will be considered successful if the following evaluation criteria are met. Critical habitat has been protected at all designated locations through stewardship or conservation agreements. Monitoring of Ross gulls demonstrate they are continuing to breed at known locations, and identification of threats to Ross gulls and their habitat has resulted in the development and implementation of measures that eliminate, reduce, or mitigate threats.